Everyone, I wanted to make a little thread doodle, free motion thread doodle in real time, so you can just kind of see my speed when I'm doing my work. And I'm going to use this thrifted little rubber stamp that I picked up for the design. I'm going to make a little pouch, and I have this really fun fabric that has that flower theme to it, garden theme. It says happy place, my garden is my happy place, and plant happiness, and it's just a really cute print. I've had it for a long time. It's an older print, but really cute. I'm going to be using some warm and natural batting. I'm just going to make and place that front on the top. And I want to quilt this onto this batting with just a diagonal lines. So I'm using my heat erase pen to make that first initial line. And now it's off to my sewing machine. I'm using my walking foot with this, I think it's just called a quilting guide. So the very first line I'm doing right on that line that I drew with the heat erase pen. And then once that one is done, then the seam gauge comes into play, where I'm just going to set that seam gauge so it's right on that line, and I think I'd went about an inch away from it. And so now all my lines will be nice and even. And again, just using that thread guide right on that previous stitch line. Got one direction done. Now I want to do the other direction. And of course I have two sides, two fronts, so I'm going to be doing two of these. And back to my sewing machine. And then again, once that's finished, I can take the heat erase pen and it'll just go disappear with my iron. Now for this stamp, since it is a new stamp, I picked it up at the flea market, but it has never been used. I'm going to stamp it off on paper just a couple times, just to get that ink really working in this rubber stamp. And I'm using my archival inks for this, and archival inks are washable. They're permanent, so they're not going to disappear. I don't think this little pouch will ever be washed, but just to keep that in mind. And even I'm going to be stitching right on the lines as much as I can, so whatever stamp pad will work just fine. I showed my thread there. I'm using an all-purpose thread, and I'm using it in both the bobbin and the top, and it is a polyester all-purpose thread. You saw me there. I went back and forth a few times, and then I cut my thread, and now I'm off. And I am turning this a few times just to make sure that I'm seeing it correctly, just seeing where I'm going. And like I said, this is real time, so you are seeing how fast I'm going. And I do usually go over my design twice, just to give it more of a sketchy look. And I do want to say, when you're free motion stitching, I find if you can keep it moving at the same speed and also keep your sewing machine going at the same speed, it really helps. If you slow down, your stitches are going to get really close together, and if you speed up, they get further apart, and that is just kind of how it is, unless you have a stitch regulator, which I have never used. Leave it in the comments for my reference, and for helping if anybody has used a stitch regulator, and if you like it, and if it really helps in keeping those stitches nice and even. But like I said, I have found that if you can somewhat keep your speed going at the same, keep your speed going in the same, and then just keeping it moving as well. And I'm just keep on going. That center of that flower I'm going to get back to. And then it's on to, I'm just checking the back. I just wanted to make sure. I do have that bobbin color, the dark brown in the bobbin color as well. Now, as far as colors of thread, when I'm doodling like this, I like using brown a lot. But also like a slate gray works really well, or a charcoal gray. possibly even like a slate blue or a navy blue. I try to steer away from black. I do use black some, but it gets a little bit stark. And I'm using the same color in both the bobbin and the top, just in case my just in case my tension isn't quite right. So I don't have to worry about seeing that bobbin coming up. And there it is. I'm going to just do that center of that flower. Now this piece that I'm working on is my heavy canvas. I like using heavy canvas because it rips really well. There I'm ripping it. And it has enough stability to it that I don't need to use a stabilizer when I do my work. I'll link all these products down below for you. But again, here I'm just ripping it. You can see I just take my scissor and I cut a little slit in it, and then I grab it. And then if I can't quite grab it, then I just make a little bit bigger slit. Right here I had to make a little bit bigger slit. I just couldn't quite get a hold of it. And then I'm just fraying that out. Now I want to add some color to this, and I'm going to be using my oil pastels. These are water-soluble oil pastels by Portfolio, and they are a student grade. They're really inexpensive. You get 24 in a pack. And again, I'm activating it with water. So I'm putting the color directly on, and then I'm just, with my paintbrush, I am just activating it with water, just kind of, I don't know. I'm just coloring. I'm just having fun with it. I do like to color more when I'm doing these little bottles to make it look like it has water in it. I'm just kind of putting the color on the edges. I use my Inktense pencils a ton too. I go back and forth. I like them both. These are just so reasonably priced that I like to show, what an alternative things that you can use. I do have good luck with these as far as washing. They don't seem to wash out. They may lighten a little bit, but they do stay put. Another thing I like about this 100% cotton is it doesn't bleed as much as like a lighter weight cotton muslin or anything. And again, I'm just adding the little colors right to it, and then just taking water and activating it. I find that the brushes that work the best are brushes that are a little bit stiffer, just to kind of move that color around a little bit better. And there I actually picked up some of the color right with my brush right onto the crayon. One thing I love about the pencils is you can sharpen them a little bit better. And I'm just going to put this right in the center, and I stitch that on. So that's all complete. Now for this completion of this little bag, such a simple pouch. The zipper I am placing face down and adding these clips, and then adding the lining right on top of that. So my lining is face down, my zipper in the center, and then I sewed that just with a 1/4 inch seam. I used my zipper foot. And now adding the second layer here, the second side, again face down on that zipper, making sure it's lined up on the top and the side. And then adding my lining. I'm just going to clip that so that zipper again is in between the layers, making sure everything's lined up on the top. And then I'll take this again to my sewing machine and sew it with my zipper foot at a 1/4 inch away from the top. Once that's all done, I like to just smooth the fabric out, press it, get it away from the zipper, and then I'll take it back to my sewing machine and top stitch it. To complete the bag now, you want to make sure your zipper is open. but not off the edge. And then I'm just pinning this so that the lining is one direction and the other is an opposite direction. The teeth of those zippers are facing towards the lining. And I'm going to just add a couple marks here so I don't forget to leave the opening and the lining. But it's just going to start at that mark and go all the way around. If you need to walk your zipper over that, or your sewing machine over that zipper, just do, sometimes it's a little bit thick there. Clipping some of my corners, clipping that zipper, and then turning it through that open zipper. Punching out all those little corners, pressing that opening, and then I'll take this to my sewing machine and I'll stitch that opening closed. And then punching this back through, getting it everything to lay nice. And that's what it looks like. I have some pictures at the end. I did add a little charm. I just found a couple flowers for a charm. And you'll see that at the end here. I just have a couple pictures so you can see what it looks like as far as my coloring and my stitching. Just love the thread doodle look. I hope you enjoyed this, everybody. I hope you have a chance to create this week. Bye for now.